Good evening, everybody. Rob here, WesternPacificWeather.com. It's currently going on 1200 Japan Standard Time, 1100 Hong Kong Time, and 15 Zulu for those of you worldwide here on the evening of the 21st of October 2010. And still a very active day out there today. Big thing that we can kind of see right off the bat here is 15W here, or Megi, moving northerly right now. Still a rather slow progression of her, and she's starting to encounter some shear to the north here. Get a little more into that here in a minute, but also see this very long extending trough of low pressure extending clear from eastern China here all the way out through South Korea and much of Japan here, producing vast rain showers throughout the islands today. And also 95 and 98 whiskey are all but very much dissolved out here. 98 whiskey starting to drift off to the north here, very disorganized and starting to move into much cooler waters here. And 95 whiskey got hit up by about 30 to 40 knots of wind shear located in the northern Marianas here, so also very disrupted and looks like it's not really going to organize too much out here. So really good news out here in the Western Pacific as far as those two systems and the Philippines here, but still watching Megi here, a very destructive storm still, and moving up to the north here. So let's zoom in on this storm. Now Megi is currently moving north right around 4 knots right now, with max winds right around 100, gusting up to 125 knots per JTWC here. Moving northerly around the subtropical ridge here out to the due east, and starting to move into this weakness up in here along this trough right in this region. But right now though, expecting this to gradually de-intensify as it starts to move into this trough and this increased wind shear up in here, making landfall northeast of Hong Kong, right around Lufeng and Shantou, right in this region in southeast China, possibly as a weak typhoon here, a Category 1 equivalent. So really good news, it starts to encounter shear shown on this map right here, showing this 30 to 40, 50 knot wind shear up in this region, all associated with the polar front jet, was really dipping down throughout this region, and wind is really supporting this big long trough of low pressure here and all that precipitation associated with it. That's actually really good news for this trough as far as its development with the support of thunderstorms, convective activity within it, but really bad news for tropicals, which really does to disrupt these tropicals, these upper level winds and these upper level wind shear associated with it. So really good news for southeast China here, as we're starting to expect to see that weakness. And zooming back in on this MT-SAT IR shot right in here, the reason why I really like this night shot is that it shows the population areas enhanced in the near IR here, and just showing that it's really threading the needles between Hong Kong, the very populated area here, and also a very populated area here in western Taiwan as well. So, but still several large cities in here, as already mentioned. And also the other thing I do want to note is that southeast China is really still recovering from massive rainfalls the last several months here, with really widespread flooding. So that's going to be really the big killer out of this system, or hopefully not killer, but the whole overall destructive force out of the system. It's not really going to so much be the winds, because right after landfall, this is really going to start doing strong wind shear, and the land interaction itself is really going to weaken this storm and the overall vast wind shear out of this. But the big destructive force is definitely going to be the mass amount of rainfall that's going to be falling out of the system, with the large width of this storm, several hundred kilometers across, after it passed over the Philippines, really disrupted it and made this storm overall very wide. And that mass amount of rainfall is going to be a very high potential for flash flooding, especially in low-lying areas. Now, I'm getting a lot of reports via the news on here that a lot of evacuations down in this region, especially the low-lying areas. China's not taking the storm as any joke. They're really being serious about it. So good news as far as that. So definitely good news when you start to hear about people getting to safe places. To further show this vast amount of rainfall and the rain bands out of this is actually a current Hong Kong radar right now, showing a very strong rain band actually starting to move into the region, with this other one not farther out to the east here. So definitely going to be seeing some heavy rainfall there, and already getting a lot of reports out of the Hong Kong Bay right in here, some very heavy swells throughout that region. And Hong Kong Harbor is actually a very bad location, because some of the winds can get funneled through this region right in here. So it's definitely a pretty dangerous situation for any ships taking harbor inside this bay. So I want to show Taiwan's radar here. The combination of that trough up farther to the northeast and the outer rain bands right in here is bringing a lot of precipitation to Taiwan here. So definitely the chance of some flash flooding as well, especially in the southwestern periphery right in here, very populated region. So definitely that strong chance of some flooding throughout Taiwan as well. But it looks like the core winds of these typhoon strength winds are going to remain well to the west of the island. Now here showing the HKL's track, still taking the storm to the east making landfall here in southeast China, and this is pretty much on a line with JTW shown here with the gradually work north and northerly and then eventually northwest as this system starts to enter this troughing up in this region. So definitely going to see some very widespread rainfall. Also want to note that because tropical storm force winds extend well over 175 nautical miles from end to end around the center core of this system. So a very widespread system as far as rainfall as well, but looking at a weakening along the storm, possibly making landfall as a tropical storm shown here on the morning of the 23rd, 50 gusting up to 65 knots. So the wind field is gradually going to decrease over the next 48 hours as we watch the system start to interact with some wind shear. And actually you can start to see that on the northern periphery on a satellite loop as well. So really good news as far as that and as far as this making landfall in southeast China. Now, I also want to note we are still watching Megi out here, shown on this satellite picture, but farther out to the west here in the Bay of Bengal, we have Tropical Cyclone Miri right now looking like it's starting to be moving to the northeast and making landfall in Burma, bringing some widespread precipitation throughout that region as well. But it does look like this system should develop too strong, looking like a max right around 50, gusting up to 55. Shown here on this JTWC warning, showing this gradually works to the northeast here, making landfall in Burma on the 22nd into. But back here in the South China Sea, still a very dangerous storm. And actually, just as I clicked over to here, just saw an update for Taiwan, the southwestern coast just put under a typhoon warning. So still a very dangerous situation here as that wind field from the tropical storm force winds could still extend out towards Taiwan here. I still don't think the typhoon's winds will extend out that far, but the government obviously playing it safe here, and that's a very good choice. Not playing it safe could be a deadly choice. So, and also in Hong Kong, signal force 3 still set there, one of the higher levels of winds here, so still a very dangerous situation here as well. But that is all for today, everybody. If you have any questions, you can field them to me at westernpacificweather.com, to the shout box to the right. Also find me at storm2k.org. And if you want to see some really high-definition videos out of northeast Luzon here during landfall from Typhoon Megi here, check typhoonferry.com or just scroll right below this video in the warnings. And also you can see some video from James Reynolds down there, Typhoon Hunter, who actually stayed in a party during the landfall of that storm. Still a very deadly situation down there in the Philippines. The level of casualties has risen up until about 27 people, and still thousands and thousands of people homeless down there. I'll have a little more information on that in the morning, but for right now, though, everybody stay safe tonight. Also, if you have any questions, as already noted, just field them to me overnight tonight. So stay safe out there. I'll likely have another update in the morning. So have a good night, everybody. Bye.